in video 22, I said Yeshua the Christ, avenge mankind of our enemy, Satan the devil, and his fallen kingdom of darkness. In the description box of video 22, I posted the link to earlier content I recorded regarding who mankind's real enemy is and the spiritual nature of our warfare here on earth. When we talk about releasing the strife and anger around the atrocity of slavery and coming to a place where we can truly heal on both sides of the issue, we can only come to the place of reconciling the issue on both sides by seeing how Yeshua avenged us all on a spiritual level, to then see how we are to work together on the physical level to gather up the reparations of the war that was fought and won spiritually. And so we get to use the Bible record of Mephibosheth, okay, to get our bearings around the issue by that level up into the spiritual dimension, so that we can take our seat in heavenly places at the right hand of the Father and look down and see exactly what has been done, right? So that we know what we are to do today. I encourage you to read the full report, okay, in 2 Samuel chapters 4 to 9, okay? But in summary, this is what happens. Mephibosheth's father is Jonathan, okay? Jonathan is the son of King Saul. Both King Saul and his son die in battle. When word gets back to their kingdom that the king and the prince have been killed, the people begin to flee for fear that their enemies are going to come and kill or capture them. Mephibosheth is 5 years old at the time and has a nurse looking after him. And because she's trying to get them both to safety, she picks him up to run, but she drops him. And scripture says he became lame in both his feet. In chapter 5, we learn that after King Saul and his son die in battle, they were succeeded by David. Now, David had already been anointed by the prophet Samuel some years or some time earlier, but he had to wait his time to be installed. So from chapters 5 to chapter 8, King David avenges the former King Saul and his friend Jonathan, right? He takes down all their enemies. And so in chapter 9, the war is over, and King David is now looking for descendants of the former king. So he's asking people if Saul or Jonathan have any relatives left. And he learns that Jonathan, his friend, has a son named Mephibosheth, who lives in Lodabar. So King David sends his people to bring Mephibosheth back to the king's house because he is a rightful heir. When Mephibosheth stands before David, he's afraid, right? Because the text says King David tells him not to fear. All he wants to do is show him kindness and to restore him. And the text says that David fully restored Mephibosheth, and he ate at the king's table continually while being lame on both his feet. So how does this relate to reparations and healing for the Black community and mankind as a whole for where we are in our nation and the world today? Number one, Mephibosheth's name means man of shame or shameful thing. He's found living in Lodabar, which is a refuge city far away from his rightful estate, far away from his royal inheritance. For a royal heir, we have to understand Lodabar represents a place of oppression and bondage. You're not thriving in Lodabar. You're just surviving. You're, in effect, a refugee simply seeking sanctuary. Okay? The account tells us his self-esteem is so low, he refers to himself as a dead dog in the presence of the king. Okay, so who knows how people treated him or looked at him, or what names he was being called because of his disability, right? So despite the fact that he's royalty, he finds himself feeling this immense sense of shame, living as a refugee, just trying to survive, when the whole time he is the rightful heir of the king. And this is where we as mankind find ourselves today, right? Through no fault of our own, we were born imperfect sinners. We were dropped. We were made lame in both our feet through imperfection. Adam and Eve enjoyed fellowship with God. All their needs were met in the garden. They didn't lack anything. They didn't know pain. They didn't know suffering. They didn't know evil. They had to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil in order to know evil. But all they knew from the beginning was good. Through one act of disobedience, they lost it all, and we all got dropped. And this is where our experiences as human beings differ, yet converge as mankind, the Black community, and America. So in part 2 of this message, I need to share how mankind as a whole, the Black community and America, have been dropped and are living far beneath our birthright and our privilege as royal heirs of our Creator.